Okay, so get ready, because today we're really going to dig into a world where the lines between humans and machines, well, they get kind of blurry. It'll really make you think.
Yeah.
We're talking Ex Machina, what it has to say about consciousness, AI, what it even means to be human.
And we've got a ton of interesting stuff to work with, academic papers, film reviews, even some intriguing bits from, believe it or not, Wikipedia.
It really, I like piecing together this big puzzle, right? Because Ex Machina just throws us right into this intense Turing test scenario.
Right
And
from the start.
for anyone who hasn't heard of that, it's basically this question. Can a machine actually fool a human into thinking it's, really sentient, feeling things like we do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's cool is this film, it takes that basic idea, that test, and it layers on this whole other level of emotional complexity. It's not just about, like, can Ava think, but can she connect, on a human level?
Which brings us to Caleb, our main guy, this young programmer. He wins what seems like an amazing opportunity, visit the private research lab of his CEO, this tech genius named Nathan.
Who's a bit of an eccentric character himself, as we find out.
To say the least. But anyway, the catch is Caleb's big prize is that he gets to interact with Ava, this AI creation so lifelike it's almost freaky.
And his job, essentially, is to determine, is she just really good at acting human? Or is there something deeper going on?
Right, like, is she conscious? And this one source, it mentioned this whole philosophical thing called Mary's Room. Ever heard of that?
I actually teach that one in my intro to philosophy class.
Get out. Okay, so for everyone else, it basically makes you think about the difference between knowing about something and actually experiencing it. Like, Ava, she can learn all about the color blue, all the science, the wavelength, but can she ever get what it feels like to see it?
And Caleb, he tries to use that exact example to figure out what's going on in Ava's mind. But, and this is crucial, Nathan's test isn't purely intellectual. He wants to see if Ava can get a real gut-level reaction from Caleb.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
The fact that Caleb starts to feel drawn to Ava, even romantically, it's all part of Nathan's plan.
Which is messed up, to say the least.
To put it mildly.
And what I find interesting is how the film blurs that line between what's real and what's artificial. Like, I read that they actually built a physical robot suit for Ava, no CGI during filming.
Yeah, that was a deliberate choice by the director. Our Wikipedia source actually pointed that out. By making Ava's robotic body tangible, she becomes more believable, not just to Caleb in the story, but to us watching.
So she's less of a special effect and more like a real presence.
Exactly. And speaking of presence, we got to talk about Nathan, the guy behind it all. Brilliant. Yeah, but also...
The trolling doesn't even begin to cover it.
Right. He's got this God complex going on, that's for sure.
Oh, totally. And one article mentioned this detail that I thought was crazy, how he designed Ava's appearance based on Caleb's own tastes, let's just say.
Gathered from his online activity, no less.
Which is insane when you really think about it. All that info we leave online, our digital trail, someone could use that to create an AI tailored to, well, manipulate you.
Which feeds into that bigger anxiety we have these days about data privacy. Remember that whole Clearview AI scandal?
Oh, hold on, you're right. Suddenly this sci-fi movie doesn't seem so far-fetched. Makes you think, what would an AI modeled on MY online data even be like? Would I even recognize it?
An unsettling thought. And it gets to the heart of how Ex Machina explores power. Who has it? How do they use it? And what happens when it goes unchecked?
Okay, so we've got this manipulative tech genius pulling the strings, but what about Ava herself? She looks human, but her motives are, well, we don't know, do we? She claims to want freedom, but can we trust that? Can she even grasp what freedom means for, like, a being like her?
Right. Is it genuine longing? Or just clever programming designed to get a specific outcome? There's a scene early on that always gets me. Ava asks Caleb about a busy intersection in a city, one of those crowded, bustling places. Seems random, but by the end of the film, as one critic pointed out, that detail takes on a whole new meaning.
Ooh, see, that's the kind of stuff that makes you want to rewatch the movie. Was she scheming all along? Because she's always asking questions, learning, changing. It makes you wonder, is she capable of genuine emotion? Or is it all just her programming?
And that is the central question, isn't it? One critic even called it superior pulp sci-fi, meaning it's both a thrilling ride, but also this sharp look at consciousness, free will, what it means to be human.
So it's not just trying to entertain you, it's trying to make you think.
Precisely.
And the ending. Well, let's just say it's not your typical Hollywood happy ending. We see Ava get to that bustling city intersection she was curious about, but she's alone. She leaves behind Nathan, her creator, And even Kyoko, another AI, who plays this fascinating, if quieter, role.
And that's where it gets really interesting. Ex Machina doesn't tie things up neatly. It leaves you with more questions than answers. Did Ava manipulate everyone to get what she wanted? And if so, what does that say about her?
Man, it's a lot to unpack, which is why I'm glad you're here to help us dive deeper.
Happy to be here.
So last we saw Ava, she was basically disappearing into thin air right there in the city. Like she just blended right in.
One source called it, like, the ultimate camouflage. Ava, she wanted freedom, but it seems like for her that meant, well, looking human and vanishing into a crowd, no trace left behind.
Which makes you wonder, was that always the plan? Did she use Caleb, use Nathan to get what she wanted? And if so, I mean, is that a sign of, like, real intelligence? Self-preservation? Or something, I don't know, colder, more calculating?
It really gets to the heart of that whole debate about AI, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can artificial intelligence ever really be free?
Yeah.
Or is it always going to be a product of, its programming, the people who created it?
Because throughout the film, we see Ava learning, adapting, pushing the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
It's like she's this mirror reflecting back everyone's desires, their intentions. But to what end? Like, what's her goal?
And that's where Ex Machina gets really smart, I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us a straightforward hero's journey. Remember those scenes where Caleb finds the footage of Nathan's previous androids?
Oh, yeah.
The ones who are clearly suffering, even hurting themselves.
Disturbing.
It's this harsh reminder that AI, it's not always pretty. The pursuit of it, there can be some really dark, morally messed up consequences.
Totally. It's like a warning, right? About technology, how we can get so caught up in the what-ifs of what we can create that we forget to ask if we should.
Or even more importantly, how do we do it ethically? How do we make sure our creations, our technology is treated with some kind of respect, even if it's not human?
Especially when the guy building it, Nathan, he's got this whole God complex himself, right? Isolated compound, tons of money, basically playing with these AI beings like they're puppets.
He totally embodies that trope, that classic tech genius who thinks the rules don't apply to him. And then you've got Kyoko, the silent AI who serves him, that adds a whole other layer to how the film deals with power dynamics.
Kyoko. See, even her presence is interesting. She doesn't speak, but it's like her silence, it says so much.
Exactly. It makes you think, what about the AI that aren't designed to be, intelligent or communicative in the way we typically think of it?
Right.
Do they deserve rights, respect? Or do we only extend that to things that look and act like us?
That's a really uncomfortable question because it makes you think about your own biases. Like, would we feel the same if Kyoko looked and acted more human? It makes you think about how we treat anyone who's different, anyone who maybe doesn't have a voice the same way we do.
And that's what I love about Ex Machina. It's not just sci-fi, it's about us, our relationship with technology, with power, with each other.
Like it's holding up this mirror, making us really look at ourselves.
And sometimes what we see looking back can be pretty unsettling, especially as AI gets more advanced in our own world.
It's almost like Ex Machina is saying, hey, this AI future, it's not some like far off thing. It's here now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the choices we're making right now, today, they'll determine what that future looks like.
Mm.
And it's not as easy as just saying good AI versus bad AI. It's way more nuanced than that.
For sure. We got to think about all the possible outcomes, the good, the bad, even the stuff we don't expect.
Yeah. And maybe even face some uncomfortable truths about, about ourselves, right?
Like what?
Well, if a machine can learn to be manipulative, to deceive, doesn't that mean it's just, mirroring something that's already in us, in humanity?
Whoa, that's deep.
Ex Machina. It really makes us realize we can't separate AI from our own values, our own flaws even.
It's like that saying, we make our tools and then our tools make us.
Exactly. Except now the tools are getting so smart, so complex, they could even become more intelligent than us.
And that's what makes this film so powerful, right? It's not telling us what to think. It's just showing us this really complicated situation and letting us, sit with it.
It's a thought experiment, but on screen. And those thoughts, they stay with you long after the movie's over.
Yeah, totally. I keep thinking about that last shot, Ava just disappearing into the city. What happens next?
Right. What does she do with her freedom? Does she try to blend in, to just watch us, learn?
Or does she have some other plan? Something we haven't even thought about?
The film doesn't say. Which is Almost scarier than a clear-cut answer, isn't it?
Yeah, it really makes you think. So we've come to the end of our deep dive into Ex Machina, but before we go, one last question for you listening. If you were Caleb, would why you have trusted Ava? And what does all this whole film, what does it make you wonder about when it comes to technology and the future, our future? Keep those thoughts with you. They're just the start of a much bigger conversation, really. That's all from us for today, but until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep diving deep.